Welcome to our Adelmia podcast, Global Operations on the Go. I'm your host, Therese Snow. Today, my guest is a Adelmia robotics expert, Alexander Clement, industry solution technical consultant, industry equipment technical digital continuity team here with Adelmia. He will be discussing robotics as well as production line definition as our topics today. Alexander, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Absolutely glad to have you. So, before we get started, can you please tell our listeners a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Alexandre Clément. I'm an embedded systems engineer. I studied at SCA Paris, a school specialized in electronics and IT, near from Paris. And I had the opportunity last year to do my last internship at Dassault Systèmes as a QA tester at Similia brand, where I was developing automatic tests. Then I decided to leave the R&D teams for the industrial teams, and I'm today working within industrial equipment organization, where I'm responsible of the robotics segment.
Perfect. Well, it sounds like you are more than qualified for our conversation today. Again, we're really glad that you are here recording our podcast. So I'm going to jump right in, Alexander, and start talking a little bit about robotics. For example, is it important for robotic providers, especially the startups, to go the extra mile and integrate robotics into their plans?
Yes, indeed, today we meet many players in robotics, young and very active, who are embarking on the integration of robot fleets in factories in order to optimize overall production. So this can provide different tools such as a fleet manager software to control the entire connected fleet or a dashboard of fast or real-time production results. Also, process automation is a key factor in saving time, human resources, and therefore money for companies. So robotics find its place in factories to assist workers in increasingly complex tasks to implement. So robotic startups see a huge market for transformations of existing factories. It's absolutely essential to position themselves in and offer the best response to customers who want to enhance their factories in order to improve their current production.
Excellent. No, that's really interesting, especially to find out how it fits into the plants and the workers, etc. So, Alexander, what complexities are they usually facing when building a line? And also adding on to that, how can Delmi and the 3D Experience platform help?
Yeah, for example, very often we have to deal with the problem of fleet sizing or layout sizing. Delmia can answer to this. There are different methods depending on the applications we want to bring to the process, but the idea is to have a necessary and sufficient number of robots to meet the needs of the factory. So there is also the question of, the adaptability of the robots in the factory. In fact, many parameters must be taken into consideration, such as the number of forklift or workers present in the factory during the production process, and it can sometimes be complex. So it's not easy for a startup to position itself in his type of market. You have to be able to stand out with technology that highlights the way to solve a redundant problem for customers. It's a bit of a race to find the most complete tool addressing a user-friendly use, So that's why this market is very competitive, and every year competent players surface and present new approaches to respond to the problem of automation in factories. In addition, they are also faced with the difficulty of knowing how to position themselves by offering a robotic solution, whether that is software only, or let's say includes software and hardware. So yeah, indeed, in terms of credibility.
Mhm.
It can sometimes be an asset to show that we master in the field when we also have the solution embedded on a real-time machine, I would say. In this case, supporters of a software-only solution must call on other hardware robotics player to demonstrate the effectiveness of their solutions.
All right, great. Are there any new trends, for example, that the line builders should be aware of?
Yeah, so we are in transformation era around robotics, and its use for line builders. Most robotics players use AGVs, so autonomous guided vehicles, which allow predefined tasks to be carried out in a cyclical manner.
Mhm.
Except today, we are seeing the massive arrival of producers of AMRs, so autonomous mobile robots,
Okay.
which have an intelligence embedded. So like, we can see an AI, artificial intelligence, allowing them to practice tasks in a completely autonomous way. So the AMR is fully aware of its environment and its state of health. In addition, such a fleet can be connected with each other. So in order to share data, on the plant, machine, etc.,
Mhm.
such as for regarding the robots, the current states, the task in progress, task in pending, tasks to do, and so on. So we can build our own scheduling planning with this kind of information. So otherwise, we can also use AR, so augmented reality or VR, virtual reality
Mhm.
technologies, which are very useful, for example, for managing plant maintenance and locating issues, or for monitoring process of the line and therefore faithfully understand how it works.
All right, well, I'm certain we're going to hear a lot more about augmented reality and artificial intelligence as well in the future, continuing on. It's really insightful. So, kind of expanding on that, Alexander, can we also support startups that are producing robots not working outside of traditional plants, but for specific industries like agriculture, building, etc.?
Yes, of course. The idea of our industry is to respond to all industrial issues, whether they concern agriculture, factory production lines, civil engineering, let's say advanced technologies, and much more. So yeah, of course we can. In addition, we go to many events, for example, in France and in the world around robotics, where startups present their solutions. And the objective is to identify them and understand why they are addressing this type of solution in order to understand their point of view on the current situation. It's important to know that we are open to many subjects in order to enhance our portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
That's why our Delmia solution is constantly evolving to meet as many users as possible.
Great. Well, this has been really incredibly informative. What a great conversation with you. Before we conclude, is there anything I haven't asked you or anything else you want to discuss about robotics or the topic of today?
Yes, well, we can see that today the trends are changing. For example, we are talking a lot about humanoid robots in order to assist people in needs, I would say. And these are subjects that can be controversial, but on which we must remain attentive. So it's very important to keep a maximum technological watch, and it's what I do.
Perfect. Thank you so much again for being our guest today. Didn't mean to just throw out that last question to you, right? And I appreciate the feedback that you've been given. Thank you, Alexander, very much.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for listeners for tuning in. For additional information, our listeners can go to our Delme website or follow us on social media. Stay tuned for future podcasts as we continue this topic, robotics and production line definition. I'm your host, Therese Snow, and you've been listening to Delme's podcast, Global Operations on the Go.